The Boston Marathon inside job has quickly turned into a major clusterfuck, where the shenanigans of the US government seem to find absolutely no limits whatsoever. Less than 24 hours after two unnamed officials had admitted that the second suspect, Dzhokhar Tsarnaev, was unarmed while hiding inside the boat in Watertown, contradicting the official statements of the Boston police about a gunfight before his capture, the New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg and Police Commissioner Ray Kelly made a press conference to frame the Chechen patsies again, this time in an alleged plot to carry out a bomb attack in Times Square.
The information we received is that he was a lot more lucid and gave much more detailed information in the second questioning period.
And regardless, whether we believe it or not, this is the information we get, and we're going to take everything seriously. God forbid we don't make light of anything. We have to assume the worst and deploy our resources to make sure it doesn't happen. It'd be wonderful if it wasn't true. But this does appear to be what the FBI or the Boston police are telling us, is what the guy said. We want to get this young lady here.
Mr. Mayor, Marcia Kramer from WCBS TV. It's a two-part question, really. Number one, you have evidence, I presume pictures, of them being in Times Square in April of 2012, I think you said, and again in November. I wonder if you have any more information about what they were doing here. And secondly, had they got to Times Square with their 6 bombs, including the pressure cooker bomb, what's the potential damage they could have done if they exploded them?
Well, we know that, as you say, on or before 18 April of 2012, they had that picture taken. Some of the people in that picture have been identified, and that part of the investigation is certainly going forward. You know, you look at what the bomb did in Boston, and then you would have to take that and obviously speculate as to what it could do in Times Square. There's a significant number of people in Times Square at that hour. There are clubs, bars that are operating. So, you know, I wouldn't want to guess, but clearly we saw the power of the bombs in Boston. You take that and you can just use your, you know, you can give it a guesstimate as to what the damage would be in New York City.
And just because they came here doesn't mean they'd have to do something right away. We have a question back here, this young lady. First, the young lady in front of you had her hand up. I'm sorry.
Jillian Jorgensen, Staten Island Advance. Obviously, Times Square is an area that has a lot of technology, a lot of cameras, a large police presence. When it comes to larger events that span, you know, all 5 boroughs, like the marathon or like the TD bike tour that's coming up, how do you secure those large public gatherings?
With great difficulty, right?
Yeah, right. With difficulty, as the mayor said, but certainly it requires a lot of law enforcement presence, a lot of police officers, and that's precisely what we'll be deploying. We have some cameras. As you know, we've said that we are moving to expand the number of mobile cameras that we have, but that's going to be a ways off. We have some, but a relatively small number. So we'll have a lot of people covering that route. We have some counterterrorism resources that we use. We have a vehicle that takes pictures, 360-degree pictures that we use on a route of major events. We'll be continuing to do that sort of thing. We have our sky watches that give you an elevated view. We have where, you know, if we needed license plate readers, that sort of thing, we would deploy them.
The gentleman behind you.
Thank you. James Ford from WPIX, Channel 11. If you both have talked about, this is sort of a piggyback on this, about resources that you have in the Times Square area. Can you elaborate further about further resources you want to have in that area that could add...
Now pay close attention when Bloomberg makes clear that a massive surveillance apparatus is going to be deployed in New York City, where people will be monitored not only by cameras and aerial drones, but also by covert operatives. What bottom line means that not only recruited patsies, but any ordinary individual, American or foreign, can be framed in false flag events according to the conveniences of the shadow government and the modus operandi of the 3-letter agencies and private black ops contractors of the US government.
networks. And let me remind you, we have been expanding. We started out with the Lower Manhattan Security Initiative, and then expanded it to Midtown. And we are working wherever there's large groups of people. That would be the logical place to put your cameras. But one of the things for sure, you're never going to know where all our cameras are. And that's one of the ways you deter people. They just don't know whether the person sitting next to you is just somebody sitting there, or whether it's a detective watching to try to keep us safe. This gentleman next right here.